All right, everyone. I have another lesson for you today, and it's kind of similar to the one we did yesterday. It's going to be another two-parter, and the first part's going to be the reading part, and then we're going to do our IXL skill. All right. So we talked a little bit yesterday about what to do if you get distracted in your reading. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today, but we're going to notch it up a little bit and add a little bit to it. So here's my sign for today that I have for you, and it's called Keep Your Eyes and Your Mind in Your Book. Okay, so I drew a little picture here. Keep your eyes in your book and your mind in your book. I'm getting really good at drawing pictures. What do you think? Better than I used to be. I'm getting a lot of practice. Okay, so here's our ideas. So the first thing is be aware of when your attention is shifting. So you have to notice. So when you're doing that reading and your mind starts to wander, you have to notice that that's happening. You can't get like all the way to the end of the chapter or your 20 minutes or your 30 minutes that you're reading before you notice that, hey, I wasn't paying attention at all and I have no idea what I just read. You have to be aware and pay attention that that's happening. The second one is when it does happen, you have to back up and reread. That's kind of what the lesson was yesterday. So let's take a look. Here's our lesson from yesterday. So when that does happen, remember you had to do those three things. You had to stop, go back to when you last remember it making sense, and then rereading it again. So that part's basically going over what we said yesterday. But here's the new part. This is the part that's new for today. If you notice that your attention is starting to shift and it's happening a lot, like if you notice, gee, this happened to me yesterday and I had to go back and reread, and now it's happening to me again, I have to go back and reread. So if it's happening often, then you really have to take a look at why that's happening. And one of the reasons that that might be happening is you might need to rethink your book choice, the book that you chose. Maybe the book that you're reading is a little bit too hard for you, and maybe you're having to take some time to really decode those words and think about those words, and that's distracting you. It might just be too hard. Or maybe you know the words and you can read them, but you're not knowing what they mean. And when you don't know what they mean, your mind isn't paying attention to the story or what the book is about. Or, here's the other thing. It might be too easy for you. That might be a book that's just so easy that you don't have to think. Your mind doesn't have to stay in the story. And your eyes, right? They don't have to stay in the book. And so you get distracted. It could be a book that you've read lots and lots of times. Like I'm thinking like some of you like to read the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books, and you've read them over and over, maybe 4 or 5 times. And because you know the story so well, you don't have to think too much about it. So your mind starts to wander. So maybe you want to choose a different book, either something that's not so hard, not so easy, or that you haven't read a lot of times. That might be part of the problem if your mind is wandering. Here's the other thing, though, that I want you to think about. You might need to rethink your environment. You might need to rethink about where it is that you're reading. So if you're reading maybe in the living room and somebody else in your family is watching TV, yeah, that might be a really hard thing to concentrate on, because you might be hearing the TV in the background, and that makes it hard to concentrate on the book that's right in front of you, right? Or if you're reading in a room where somebody's maybe playing video games and you kind of are looking and looking, it's hard to keep your mind and your eyes in your book when something like that's happening. So you might want to try to find a place to read that's your own spot. Maybe carve a little nook out of the house somewhere that you can read, if you can find that kind of a spot. Maybe in your bedroom, if you can have some time by yourself. I know when I was a little girl, I used to read in my closet, believe it or not. I'd go in there and I'd put some pillows down and a blanket, and I would cozy up and read all by myself. So maybe you can find a spot in your house where you have just some quiet time where there's no distractions. Just like in the classroom, when I would tell you to make sure you were reading in a spot where you weren't distracted by friends or anything else. So think about these 2 new things. Make sure that you have a good book choice and a good spot to be reading. All right? Okay, so our second part of our lesson today is going to be on antonyms. Yesterday we talked about synonyms, how two words could be just the same, almost, meaning almost the same thing. Today we're going to talk about antonyms, which is just the opposite, words that mean opposite of each other. So we're going to take a look. I have my workspace set out here. I'm going to turn you around so that you can take a look. We're going to do some more word cards. All right, so I'm going to move you around. Let me see if I can get my camera turned so that you can see my workspace. I'm going to see if I can get you nice and close. Today I have mushrooms, mushrooms and snails. Let's see if you can see these cards. Give me just a second to get it just right here. All right, can you see those words pretty good? All right, let's take a look and see. Okay, so this time we're doing antonyms, which are the opposites. So two words that mean the opposite. And these are important to know, just like synonyms are important to know, because sometimes when you're reading, you need to substitute an opposite. You think, oh, I don't want him to say that. I want to say something different, or if you're writing. So it's important to know opposites as well. So let's take a look at the opposites that I have for you here. Low, dirty, under, poor, alive, night, minimum, exit, safe, top, sweet, and straight. We used dirty yesterday when we talked about having a dirty room, and we found a synonym. Today we're going to find an antonym to that, so that's kind of interesting. We have that same word there. Some tricky ones. All right, so I also have over here some snails with word cards with opposites, some antonyms. So we're going to see if we can match these up. My first one is day. So see if we can find a word that means the opposite of day. So I am awake in the day and I'm sleeping at, this one's a pretty easy one, at night. I'm going to match it up there. Day and night. All right, let's find this one. Dangerous. Dangerous. What's the opposite of dangerous? Dirty, poor, safe. There it is. Safe and dangerous. Opposite words. Over. Straight. Straight over. Sweet over. Alive over. Over under. There's the opposites. Oh, excuse me. I always have to sneeze during a lesson. Enter. Enter. Oh, there I go again. Enter. Straight. Enter minimum. Enter. Exit. There we go. All right, this one's a little tricky. Maximum. Maximum means the most you can have of something, the maximum amount. Can you see one that might match this one? Means the least amount. Similar word, minimum. Maximum and minimum. Boy, I have a tickle going. Okay, bottom. Bottom straight, bottom low. Oh, the bottom and low. Those kind of seem like they might go together as the same, but we're looking at opposites. We're looking at antonyms, so we can't use that one. There we go. Bottom and top. Dead. Dead and straight. Dead and sweet. Dirty. Poor. Alive. There it is. All right, let's see what I have left. Low, dirty, poor, sweet, and straight. High. What's the opposite of high? Can you see it? Yep, you got it. Low. Clean. What's the opposite of clean? Yeah, that's the one we talked about. Dirty, like the dirty room or a clean room. There we have it. Poor, sweet, and straight. Rich, the opposite of rich. You got it. It's poor. Curved and sour. Curved and sour. Sweet and straight. Yeah, that's pretty easy. Straight and curved, sour and sweet. So there you have it. Those are our antonyms, opposites. So your IXL skill today is going to be with antonyms. It's going to be the same idea as we did yesterday, where you'll have one sentence that has a word in it, and then the opposite sentence will have the opposite word in it. That's what you're going to be looking for, a sentence with an opposite word. All right, give that a try today. All right, see you tomorrow.